Shalom Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushua, Ba'Shem, Rakadash, the barns, the apostles, and those we most ever teach us His truth, peace, and blessings to hope like Israel, and Shalom. Yahweh is the name of Elohim Father in ancient Hebrew. Ba'Shem means the name, and Yahushua is the name of the Lord God's Son. Background lesson, and today, going to be going to how we're going to get demonized and basically be called criminals for not wanting to take the MAX. As you see this word right here highlighted, can't really fully say it, but you will be demonized and called criminals and looked upon as, weird, crazy, for not wanting to take it, especially with the RFID, the MOB coming around. When we get to read a little bit of this quick article and get a few scriptures that came to mind, and Lord will be a fine lesson. Let's get into it. It says, in 19 cases surge in LA County filled by enormously selfish, unvaccinated people, So you're going to be, called selfish, crazy. You're going to get demonized for, not taking it. We're looked upon as weird. Ultimately shows you how destroyed this place is and the people are, man. You're seeing many, many problems, happening with the MAX, and people are looking past it. Trusting in Esau Edom, which is the so-called white man to date. It says, for the fifth consecutive day, Los Angeles County has recorded more than 1,000 new 19 cases. Health officials say the upward trajectory is almost entirely driven by transmission among those who have yet to be vaccinated for the 19, as well as increased circulation of the easily spread Delta variant of the virus. So you see they're pushing that, agenda that, it's spreading more, and people are getting it easier since people are not, haven't taken the MAX. And when I say MAX, I'm talking about this word once again, just so you know. You'll be looked upon as crazy, as not normal. You're like, oh, you don't want to, protect your family. Oh, you don't want to, help the people out and, and save everyone. You're looked upon as selfish, as crazy, But the scriptures go into it, that's, what's going to happen. It's clear that the threat of the 19 is still with us and that we are dealing with a more infectious variant that causes it. I've been seeing many, many, variants breaking off from the 19, seeing Delta and, multiple other ones. So this thing's only going to get worse, and they're pushing that agenda, that taking the MAX will help with those also. Telling you about the so-called benefits, persuading the people. A lot of people are going to be deceived and led astray. County Health Officer Dr. Montu Davis said the best collective action that each of us can take is to get MAX against the 19 if you're eligible, and to take sensible precautions if you're not eligible or choose not to get MAX, in which they're going to make it to where it's impossible to live a so-called normal life without the MAX and the RFID. It's how they're going to force the people to make that choice and to get on board with their agenda. The County Department of Public Health reported 1,044 19 cases. That's kind of spiritual right there, 144 on Friday, followed by 1,069 more on Saturday, an additional 113 Sunday. On Monday, there were 1,059 new cases. They're seeing tons and tons of new cases breaking out, and they're obviously going to push the agenda that, if you haven't taken it, you're the one, helping it spread, and, you being selfish. So, this is what's being pushed, man. But let's get to scriptures and a little bit of a lesson. Let's book of Matthew chapter 10, verse 16 through 22. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So we're sheep among wolves, man. We gotta be wise and be careful with these times that we are in. Verse 17. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. Verse 18. And you shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. Verse 19. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in the same hour what ye shall speak. Verse 20. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. Verse 21. And the brother shall deliver you up And the brother shall deliver up to the. Let me one more time. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children rise up against their parent and cause them to be put to death. So you gotta be careful with family members in the last days. Also, I made a lesson go into that, how they'll turn on you and lead you to slaughter, and basically set you up. So you be careful and be wise in these end times. You be circumspect. So you be circumspect. Verse 22. And you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that endureth to the end shall be saved. So we're going to get hated for Yahweh, Yahweh's namesake, man. We're going to get demonized, called terrorist, This is what's coming, man. You got to know what you signed up for in this truth, man. Not many people really understand the magnitude and how serious, this truth really is and what we're a part of, man. And many people are not going to be able to take the heat, once it gets presented in front of them, And the Lord's looking for that pure gold, as Scripture says, for the gold is tried in the furnace of adversity, roughly paraphrasing. So we're going to get tried and tested, man. And many people are going to crack under that pressure. It's going to be made known in these end times who the Lord is truly dealing with and who he is not. And you've already seen, the Lord exposing these different Israelite camps, IOIC, ICPK, a lot of them are getting exposed, man. But it's the book of John, chapter 15, verse 19 and 20. If ye were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you. It's because we're not of this world. We're looked upon as different, as crazy. We're going to get demonized and called criminals for not wanting to abide by the laws of this devil. Wanting to take the MAX, which is alters your DNA, and the RFID, which is the MOB. Can't really say that word either, or it'll take down my video. But one more time, if you were of the world would love his own. As you see people today, supporting wickedness, homosexuality, just complete wickedness and confusion, man, going the opposite ways of the law, statute, commandments, and the ways of Yahweh Shem Shai, man. But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you. So we're looked upon as different for not keeping the laws of this world, supporting wickedness and confusion, Verse 20, remember the word that I sent unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. We're not greater than, Yahweh Shai, man. Because back then, Yahweh Shai, he went through it also, man. Remember the word that I sent unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. So we're going to have to go through it also, man. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. So, hey, they're going to come for us, man. We're going to be prepared, in the spirit, and mentally, for these times that we're heading into. And so what the Lord is building us up constantly for, to be able to withstand these times and to endure these, troublesome times that are ahead. But it's the book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verse 20, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Go back to what I was saying, how, wickedness, and just confusion is just getting pushed and supported in this devil's kingdom, or I should say queendom, which how, just destroyed this place really is, how effeminate the men are, women getting put above the men, to show you how backward things are in this devil's kingdom, man. One thing that call evil good and good evil. Wickedness is getting supported and pushed and looked upon as good. But when we're the ones keeping these laws, statutes, commandments to the best of our ability, when teaching and prophesying, not wanting to take the MAX, the MOB, we're looked upon as different, as crazy, as not normal, because wickedness is the new norm in this devil's kingdom, because we're not, of this world, like I said, and as Scripture said, but it's book of Isaiah, chapter 10, verse 1, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and not right grievousness, which they have prescribed, so to be implement these draconian-like laws, which draconian goes to those harsh-like laws that they're going to implement to force the people's hand into getting on board with their agenda. These devils are going to make it impossible for you to live a so-called normal life without the MAX and the MOB, which is the RFID. Start holding checkpoints. You want to be able to go to your job, to go inside stores, buy groceries, to travel, to leave your state, your city, these type of things that these devils are trying to do, and a lot of people are going to crack under that pressure, man. They're not willing to, wait upon the Lord and have faith, and they ultimately don't truly believe or have faith, man. So it'll be destroyed. But the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 10, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried. So some of us may even get thrown into prison. A lot of us going to be on the run, as scriptures go into how we're going to be pilgrims upon the earth. Roughly paraphrasing, how we're going to be on the run and on the move. Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, and of the sea, for the devil has come down to you having great wrath, because he knows that he hath but a short time. Going to he's coming down with great wrath. Isaiah chapter 59, verse 19, going to how he's coming down like a flood. Hey, they're going to come for us, man. We're to be prepared in the spirit, for these times to come, because it's going to be bad. Behold, the devil shall cast me you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days, which is not necessarily 10 days, but, it's just a rough estimate, just time, be thou faithful unto death, and I'll give thee a crown of life. So if we endure unto the very end, hey, that crown of life, man. James 1 verse 12, the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life. So we gotta, endure and be able to, hold on to our faith even to the very end, man, even unto death. Scripture, you shall have tribulation 10 days, a certain amount of time. Be thou faithful until death, and I'll give thee a crown of life. So if we endure and, push through these perils and troubles sometimes that are ahead, and have faith, we'll see that crown of life, Lord willing. The book of 2 Ezra, chapter 15, verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able to go into them, shut this place down, declaring martial law. As you see, he's already, certain places are already starting to slowly go back to lockdowns, so things are not going back to normal, things will only get worse. Matthew chapter 24, verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. This place is through, man. Last two scriptures, and I'll close out, and, Lord willing, it's an edifying lesson. Book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also keep thee from the hour of temptation. And when those MAX and the RFID get presented in front of us, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So we're all going to get tried, man, and tested, and it's going to be known, who Yahweh Messiah is truly dealing with and who he is not. A lot of people are going to crack under that pressure, because, as you know, a lot of brothers have families, and a lot of people have families to take care of, and when these MAX and RFID get presented in front of you, a lot of them are going to take it, because it's going to be impossible for you to live a so-called normal life without the MAX, without the RFID. You won't be able to buy things, go to your job, to pay bills, to leave your state, your city. These type of things that these devils are trying to do to force the people's hand, and that's ultimately the test that the Lord is putting us through, to try to test us to see what we pick and what we choose, which he ultimately knows. You just got to get to the outcome, and if you don't have faith in the Lord, and truly believe, a lot of people are gonna, give in to temptation and put their faith in man rather than Yahweh Shai, man. So they will be destroyed and left behind, But the book of Isaiah, chapter 30, verse 1 through 3. Last scripture I'm going to get. Woe to their rebellious children, saith Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. Go back to what I was saying, how they're going to rely on these devils, put their faith and trust in man, to take care of them, because hey, that's what's coming. These devils are, taking advantage of this crisis, to ultimately swoop in like the hero, when he's ultimately the bad guy, man, But a lot of people are going to fall for that temptation once again. Verse 2. I walked to go down to Egypt, which, as you know, America is spiritually Sodom and Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength. I walked to go down to Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and trust in the shadow of Egypt. So you have a lot of people, that are going to put their faith and trust in Esau, Edom, and as you see a lot of people today already putting their faith and trust in Him by taking that MAX, man. We're already seeing many, many problems coming from that. And you ultimately have the Lord warning you through His Spirit, through His men, His prophets, warning you to not take it and stay away from it. And a lot of people, putting their faith and trust in man rather than Yahweh Shem Shai. Verse 3. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. So putting your faith and trust in Esau Edom rather than Yahweh Shem Shai, you'll be, caught up and destroyed in this judgment to come. As Scripture says, all the unfaithful shall die in unfaithfulness. But it's ultimately, lesson the Lord inspiring. Once again, just make a quick lesson, go into, how we're going to be demonized, and persecuted in these end times, and, how we need to be, prepared in the spirit, to be able to go through these times, man. That's why the Lord is putting us, through these trials and tribulations, preparing us in the spirit to be, prepared when these things happen and come to pass, We, ultimately out of faith in Yahweh Shem Shai and things He's about to do for us, and, keep enduring and pushing, man. We're almost out of here, we're close to that finish line, man. Seeing tons of prophecy, coming to pass, playing out before our very eyes, showing you that we're nearing the end of this devil's kingdom. But once again, I'll close out when I give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Shai, Bashem Kakadash, the bar to the apostles, and all the great blessed teach us this truth. Peace and blessings to hope like Israel, and Shalom.